We were told these plants were supposed to help our field. Let's check it out and see how it's going. So I'm in a section of my property now where this is about 1/3 of an acre right around me, and this has been our primary flower patch the past 2 years. And we got something new for a cover crop this past winter, and I've never grown this before, and I've heard good things, so we'll see how it does. But these white flowers, which are gorgeous, they're actually not just white, but there's pinks and purples in here. The bees are loving it. But these plants with the flowers are a Daikon radish, and some people call it a tillage radish, and that's because it grows a really long taproot. And if you leave that in the soil and let it decay, it creates, basically aerates the soil while also adding nutrients back to it. So that is what we want to see. Now, this field, you can actually look throughout here and you can see how the color varies considerably. Some is much more darker green and some of it's kind of pale yellow, and that's because the soil through here changes quite a bit, and we've got a lot of work to do. I can really see now the areas that need more work. So the other part of the cover crop that's down, there's a little bit of clover in here, but it's mostly annual rye and what else did I get? Oats. So the larger leafy, the larger grassy plant are the oats, and then the smaller, finer leaf is the rye. And you can see through here there's kind of rows that look darker green, and that's because last year we planted our flowers in rows and we only fertilized along those rows rather than the entire plot. And you can really see where the fertilizer application took place. All right, so here's one that looks like it might be a little bit bigger. Let's see what it looks like. Yeah, it's not too bad. This is actually one of the biggest ones that I've seen. My hand spread out is about 8 inches, so you can tell there that is only about 5 or 6 inches. These can get up to 10 or 12 inches, but our soil and our fertilizer application just wasn't good enough to grow them to that size. A lot of what we've grown in here is considerably smaller, but you can see it's almost as long. It's just not nearly as developed as the others. So this is still kind of providing that aeration effect down to about 4 or 5 inches. But these things are really supposed to grow a lot bigger and provide a lot more mass there underground. Within the next 2 weeks or so, we're going to need to mow all this down because I don't want it to go to seed, and we can just start to see some of the seed heads are starting to form. That's where this first generation of flowers have died off, and this is where the seed pod is going to develop. So my plan in all of this is to mow it down and then disc it and then put in another cover crop here this spring. I mentioned on previous video, we're not doing a midsummer flower event this year. We're going to push everything out towards the fall. That means we'll have our main planting will be later in the season, and we can spend more time here early in the season working on cover cropping and other amendments for the soil. This crop does provide another opportunity which we weren't really able to capitalize on this year, and that is for photography. We've done a pretty good business over the last couple years with our property as a photography venue. The photographers need time to plan though, and we didn't really know this was going to bloom the way that it blooms. And now that we know, we can plan for next year. But I think having this early season white flowers out in the middle of the field is just really pretty. I think the photographers will really like it. The other thing that I know grows and blooms early in the season is mustard, and we might look at that as well. So we've got kind of our two sections, this 1/3 of an acre here, and the other one, the other couple acres across the other side of the property, where we can do some cover crops, and we can probably do a couple different sections with radish, mustard. We could do crimson clover as another early one. So these are kind of 3 different cover crop opportunities that we could rotate through different sections of the field, different sections of the property over the years, and have several different photography opportunities available to us. And I like having multiple streams of revenue here on the farm. Photography, like I said, is a good one. It's just the photographers need time to plan and be able to notify their clients and book their appointments and all that kind of stuff. And we didn't know this was going to do this year, so we didn't really have time to get the word out on that. But next year, there's always next year, right? So check back with me in another couple weeks. We will mow this, disc it, and plant something else. And until next time, hope you guys have a good one. Leave your questions in the comments. I'll answer what I can. See you on the next video. Bye-bye.